Hello, everyone. Welcome to my seller webinar. Today, specifically, we are going to talk about four different strategies so that you can increase the value of the home when you sell your property. Specifically, today we are going to look at the traditional marketing strategy, the seller financing option, the sell to the investor options, and as well as the buy before you sell strategy. Okay, so those are the four way that you can sell your property in today's market. In contradictory with a lot of people thought there's only one way to sell the house on the market. In fact, there's multiple ways. There's four ways to sell the property on the market. So let's dive right into the property. First of all, please allow me to introduce myself. Myself is Longley. I've been in a real estate agent for more than 5 years, located in Chandler, Arizona, but I can help pretty much everyone within the Maricopa County. Okay, I've been helping a lot of investors, especially my specialty is focused on helping new investor who has less than 10 properties to be able to successful in their real estate investing career. So I do have a lot of information that to share with you. With that, let's dive right into the content today. So here's the regular table of contents. We are going to talk more about the four strategy in today's section. Okay. However, I wanna divert a little bit by talking about a more important topic that a lot of people are asking me about, which is the new commission structure. Okay, I'm gonna share with you this screen right here, which gonna tell you a little bit what is happening in today market. Okay, this is talking about the commission change happening around July. Okay, so if everything approved, is going to be in implementation in July. In this presentation, I'm going to specifically focus on the seller and how it is impacting the seller after July. Okay, so first of all, I want to remind everyone about a current commission structure in which, for example, if the homeowner want to sell the house, okay, thinking about selling the house, they may contact to a listing agent, an agent who can represent him and her and help her advertise the property on the market, right? And based on that conversation, they're gonna sign a listing agreement. Okay, they're gonna sign a listing agreement. For example, the seller is agreed in the listing agreement. There's a couple of things to be set. For example, the purchase price, the selling price, which is, for example, in this case, 500,000, and then the commission. Okay, commission that the listing agent gonna charge the homeowner, 5 to 6%. Okay, so that is step number one. Step number two, of course, when the listing agents have the property in place, have the listing agreement in place, you're going to start advertising for the property. Okay. And one of the very popular tool that the listing agent use is the MLS, the multiple listing service. Okay. The multiple listing service, because all the agents going to use that. If you see the website like realtor.com, Redfin, Zillow, all other website that has the listing, the property information, everything start with the MLS. Okay, everything start with the MLS. So the MLS is the database in which the listing agent gonna put the property on, and it's gonna be go to all the websites. Okay, so as part of that, the listing agent gonna advertise on the MLS that the buyer agent gonna have some amount of commission. For example, in this case, it's 3%. Okay, and therefore the listing agent is only 2% instead of 6, right? So they advertise that onto the MLS. Okay, and then when there is a buyer that have a buyer agent, when they become contract, the buyer agent gonna receive the 3% right here, which is basically from the seller. Okay, so that is the current commission structure of the today market. Moving forward to the new commission structure, or I would say proposed commission structure. The reason why I say proposed is that it's actually not in effective yet. Okay, it's still under consideration of the National Association of Realtor. Okay, which I think there's a likelihood, there's a really big good chance that it will be implemented in July. But just want to be transparent, it's still under proposal right now. Which basically saying is that remember that the listing agent is able to advertise on MLS on the current commission. There will be no advertise of the buyer agent commission on the MLS anymore. And that freak out a lot of buyer agents in today's market, because you know why? Because there's nothing clear to them. Okay, when there is something unclear, they're gonna freak out. They're gonna worry, well, what if I don't get paid? What if I don't have money? But here's the thing, look at this, okay? Even with the current or the new commission structure, the listing agent is still be able to negotiate with the seller for the set amount commission that they agree upon, right? It's really depend on the negotiation between the listing agent and the seller. Okay, for example, in this situation, it's 6%. Okay, so even though the owner agreed to pay the listing agent 6%, okay, and then maybe a portion of that also gonna be shared to the buyer agent. It's just still there, as long as he doesn't advertise on MLS, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean to the buyer agent? Okay, how does the buyer agent get paid in this situation? Okay, number one, the buyer agent has to do an extra step. Okay, versus in before, if everything is straightforward to them, everything is easy for them to understand. Right now, they have to negotiate with the listing agent for a portion. Okay, because if the buyer agent doesn't negotiate with the listing agent and the listing agent already have the 6% from the seller, that means the buyer agent is at loss, right? The seller already agreed to pay. But of course, if they don't go that extra step to negotiate with the listing agent to share, then they are at loss. And secondly, the buyer agent has to start negotiate with the buyer as well in the situation that the seller or the listing agent doesn't want to share that portion of the commission. Everything now is more negotiation between the buyer agents, to the listing agents, to the buyer. Okay, so that because of that extra step and because of that unknown, there's a lot of people afraid. There's a lot of buyer agents afraid of the future of the business. But for me, because negotiation is the foundation of my business, everything in real estate is negotiation. So negotiate for the buyer on my buyer behalf for the price, for the concession, or even if I help a seller and negotiate on the prepare, negotiate on the price to get it higher. At the end of the day, real estate foundation is negotiation. And if a buyer agent is not willing to do so, that's why they are afraid of the future come. But for me, it's just another part that we do on a daily basis anyway. Okay, so that is the new proposed commission structure right here. The buyer agent is no longer seeing the advertise on the MLS for the agent for the commission that they receive if they have a buyer bring to the table. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so here's some of the example, right? Remember the seller here, it could be those 6%, the seller and the listing agent already agree that the listing agent gonna receive 3% and the buyer agent receive 3% from the agreed amount that the seller willing to give up, right? In that situation, the buyer doesn't have to pay anything. Or it could be in a situation that the seller doesn't want to pay anything at all, okay? And the buyer gonna pay the full 3%. Now, by the way, I use the number here just as an example, okay? Just as an example. All the number here are everything all negotiable different between the client and the agent. It could be 1%, it could be 2%, it could be 10% even, okay? These are just for the purpose of example. And I just don't want to set any fee that is also illegal to do so. But this is just solely as an example. So, right, so some of the situation, the seller doesn't want to pay anything, right? Then the buyer has to jump in and pay for that portion. Or maybe in some situation, it's a share between the seller and the buyer agent. So there's a lot of situation, there's a lot of option could happen. The key point here is negotiate, okay? At the end of the day, I think this new chain will create more negotiation that the buyer agent has to do, and make sure that everyone is understanding how the buyer can pay, how the seller can pay. At the end of the day, negotiation, if I am represent the buyer, okay, if I am represent the buyer, I will try my best to negotiate for the commission to be paid from the seller rather than my buyer. Okay, so that the buyer doesn't have to pay additional cost. But if I represent the seller, okay, I'm gonna try my best to negotiate for the buyer to pay their own buyer agent rather than myself. So that is my strategy to work in a new commission structure. Instead of putting a number on the MOS and rely on that sole number only. Right now, it's create a better environment for all the parties involved to have an open negotiation rather than apply number on the MOS. Okay, so that is the new structure. Like I said, it's still a proposed commission structure. It's not into effective until July 2024. But if you do have any question about a specific, I know in the scope of this video, in the scope of this webinar, I don't have a lot of time to share with you all the detail. But if you are interested, let me know. I will talk to you in person for sure. Okay, or I can talk over the phone as well. All right, with that, let's go back into our webinar. Okay, our webinar is actually on the 4 strategy that you can sell your property in today's market. Property number 1 is active marketing. Okay, this is involve a lot of agents into this strategy as well. This is by far the most common way to sell your house on the open market, okay, which is called the active marketing. Now, keep in mind that I use the word active marketing because not all the agents gonna marketing the same. Some of the agent is just taking a couple pictures and then put on the MLS and hope that the property is sold, right? But for me, it's active marketing, meaning the agent gonna create a lot of marketing materials, put it on social media, run social media ads, put it on YouTube, run YouTube ad, put it on Google and run Google ad, doing open house, doing postcard, a lot of actions in place so that your home get to the exposure level, the maximum exposure is exposure level, okay? When you get hired from the agent, they are the one who's supposed to give you some idea, or they may already have a marketing plan to advertise your property. Okay, you can choose to also doing the for sale by owner, and if you're familiar with the marketing strategy, how to get your property exposed to the maximum level of the buyers, you can also do that as well. But this having the agent is benefit in a way that you get support from them. They already sell a lot of houses. I think it's unless you are an experienced investor, I'm sure that the agent, an experienced agent, I would say, gonna already involved with a lot of real estate transaction more than you, right? Get the help from them, get the experience, get the strategy from them, gonna help you sell the property easier and faster and more benefit. Okay. Now here's the key though. Remember to ask questions because, like I said, not all the agents gonna be the same. Not all the agent gonna use the same marketing plan. okay? Even not even like some agent do not even have the plan, right? Like I said, some of the agent is just like passive marketing. They only know that they have to take the photos and put on the MOS. That's it, right? And then they even use the photo from the phone. It's very bad, right? Don't even have the virtual staging to help an empty house selling faster, okay? So ask questions to make sure that they have the marketing plan that fit with your need and strong enough to marketing your property for sale. Okay, I do have a couple questions suggested here. For example, are they a full-time realtor? Right? Are they a full-time realtor? If they are full-time realtor, that's good. If not, then how are they gonna expand the time, spending the time between their other job versus your property, right? How can they prepare for that marketing plan for you? Second question, how many potential buyer and seller that they talk with during the week? Okay, and that means do they actively searching for the buyer for you, right? If they don't talk to anyone at all within the week, then we have a problem, right? Because there's no way that they can the agent can talk to the potential consumer who potentially want to buy those houses, right? So that is what the second one, second question, and this is in what ways will you encourage other realtors to show and sell my home, right? Do they reach out to the agent, to other agents in the office, in the company, in the state, or even out of state? Right? Do they have the network of out-of-state realtors? You may be asking, why do I need an out-of-state agent, right? Because they may have a buyer relocate from that location to Arizona, right? So that's the reason why we have to ask whether those are part of the agent marketing plan or not, okay? Um, what can you tell me about real estate market, okay? If they are not familiar with the real estate market whatsoever, they don't have any data. They cannot show any data to back up what their understanding of the real estate market. Then how are they able to evaluate your property value appropriately and give you the suggestion, the good suggestion to sell your house, right? So that is the question you should ask whoever you are thinking about hiring to list your house. Okay, what price, right? This is the tailor question to the market, right? They have to understand the market to be able to price the home appropriately. If it is in a seller market, perhaps we have to price a little bit higher. But if it is a buyer market, perhaps we have to price a little bit lower, depend on the market and what is the strategy to evaluate the value of the home. So that is also a good question and many more questions as well. If you need to have, if you want the list of all 30 questions, feel free to email me and request those email of those questions, and we'll be more than happy to send those questions for you. Okay, so that conclude of active strategy number one, which is the active marketing. Okay, in the scope of this webinar, I only go to the high level of each strategy, but not so much in the detail. If you are interested in learning more detail of each strategy, feel free to contact me or email me or phone me, call me. I'm more than happy to share with you the detail of those strategy, each individual strategy that I have for my client, okay? Strategy number two. This is buy before you sell, okay? So now by the name, we already know this strategy is best for someone who are looking to relocate to different location, okay? Uh, uh, the ideal here is that so remember, when you buy a house, it's a complicated process, right? It takes a lot of time and take a lot of effort to get it to the closing table. Selling a house is also another complex and stressful process, okay? So if you combine the two of them, it's gonna be even the big mess, okay? So that's why I'm suggesting for those of you who want to reduce the amount of stress so that you can make the right decision and no rushing at all, you should implement the buy before you sell strategy. Okay, now assuming that you have to qualify for the two mortgages at the same time. Okay, because if you don't if your income, your family income is not high enough to qualify for both mortgages, this strategy doesn't work, right? Because you have not only have to pay for the first mortgage, but you also have to pay for the second mortgage as well. So that's why it's required you to qualify for both mortgages at the same time. If you qualify for both, that's perfect. Don't have to worry about that. If you're going to buy the second house by cash, that's perfect. You don't have to thinking about this. Okay, just implement the strategy. Go buy the house, choose the house at whatever location that you want, spend as much time as you need to view houses, to negotiate on the second house. As long as you have a good house, you move into that property, sell, and then leave the first house empty, then sell it off later. Okay, but if you take mortgage, right, what may not work is when you are not qualified for both mortgages at the same time, which the majority of people are going to be stuck with this. Okay, because most of the people buying houses is based on taking on the mortgage, right? And because of the high interest right now, the mortgage is not easy to qualify for one, not to mention two mortgages at the same time, right? So what is the solution? Okay, the solution is that there's some company, creative company that's called Homeward or Easy Knock, right? They offer a program for you to be able to buy the second house before you sell, even if even if you are not qualified for two mortgages at the same time, going with the regular conventional loan. Okay, so the program allows you to do so. The idea of the program is that, okay, even though you are not qualified for both mortgages at the same time, you still be able to use the cash from the company, from Homeward or Easy Knock. You use that cash to buy the property. Wait a minute, who's going to be the owner of the property? Of course, the company going to be the owner of the property. You're going to rent that property for about a month or two, depending on how much time you need to finish selling the property, the first property, right? So the basic idea is that after the company buy the property, the second property that you're interested in, you're gonna move into that second property, right? Empty the first property, and then empty the first property, and then uh, prepare for sale. Okay, after you sell, you now qualify. After you sell the first property, you now qualify for the mortgage, and then you buy the second house again from them, back from them, using the mortgage. Okay, if that makes sense. It's a complicated process. However, it creates the opportunity to reduce stress for the consumer. Okay, so what's the catch? Okay, the catch is the program gonna go with a fee. Okay, it has to come with a fee. Okay, so that means when you normally, okay, there's no, first of all, when you use the, for example, homework, there's going to be 2% fee if you use the service from them. Unless when you buy the second house using your mortgage, right, you use the lender from the company, then that 2% going to be waived, right? Because they have to make money somehow, right? And number two, there's a limitation of time of selling, okay? And during that time, you do have to pay rent for them. So it's not a free, it's not a free, we never discussed that is a free option for you to live for 2 or 3 months for free, right? You still have to pay rent. It's not a mortgage, it's still rent. Because at that time, the company owned the property, right? So you live in the property, you have to pay rent for them while you're still paying the mortgage on the first one. So yes, it's still the two amount of money that you have to spend, but that serves the purpose, right? And then it's easier for you to sell the first property. Okay, and that there's a requirement that you have to sell within a certain amount of time. You cannot just stay in the second house forever and not and never sell the first house, right? Normally it's 6 month requirement that you have to sell the first house. And then much more detail as well about the program. For example, what if I cannot sell the house within 6 months? Well, how much does it cost for me to rent, right? Those are very specific questions. So if you are interested in learning more about that and having more questions, feel free to put a comment here for the question, or feel free to give me a call and I will privately talk to you about those information as well. Okay. So number 3 is a creative financing option. Okay, creative financing options. So the basic idea of creative financing option is that instead of the buyer, right? Instead of selling, normally the buyer gonna have a conventional loan on FHA or any type of loan, mortgage, right, to buy your house. So instead of having the buyer taking on the regular financing option, there's some creative financing option. Number one, if you own the property for free and clear, that means 100%, you don't have any mortgages, you can sell the property and charge the interest on that amount, right? And then you're gonna receive the monthly payment directly from the buyer. Number two, if you couldn't have the mortgage and if that interest rate is lower than the current market, for example, a lot of people having the mortgage for like 2 or 3%, all right, if you buy a house back in 2020 or 2021, right? So you can have them take over those properties, those mortgages, they're going to continue making the payment on those mortgages and then become the owner of the property. That's called creative financing option. There are two options. There are two situations. That's most of the time. That is what the seller does. But why? Why do they have to do that? Okay, there's going to be two reasons. Number one is because the homeowner is negative equity. For example, if you bought a house in 2022, okay, from January to May of 2022, you may have to see that the home value is going up crazily from January to May of 2022, right? And since then, it has been dropped, and it's already go up, but it's never be equal to it's never be equal to um, the price that you bought it at yet, right? So you have the negative equity, okay? So those homeowner, if they wanna sell for any reason, then they have to come up with a gap different of to pay off the property, right? So they cannot use that as a regular in the regular route, and therefore they have to sell the property creative financing so that someone else can take over the current property, the current mortgage at the low interest rate, and then willing to make the monthly payment to the bank. Okay. Or for example, the situation is that if they want to maximize their profit. Okay. For example, if like I said, an example of a property owner when they already own the property 100%, there's no mortgage, right? They can easily, for example, if the house is $500,000, okay, they can also charge like the 5%, 6% interest rate on that 500. And then they end up at the end of 30 years, instead of receiving 500,000, they're actually receiving a million, for example, okay, which is typical for any mortgage payment, right? And for that reason, they want to maximize their profit if they have time to wait and then receive the monthly payment rather than a lump sum of cash, okay? Now, as for the is it illegal? A lot of questions come up like, well, how can I do that? I thought that the only way that the buyer can buy the house is from getting the money from the bank, and never hear anything about this strategy before. Okay, so the answer is no. It is not illegal. It's in fact it's 100% legal, by the way. For example, as a matter of fact, the Arizona Association of Realtors, uh, the the Association of Realtors in Arizona, has a specific addendum. Okay, addendum is an attached document to the purchase contract designed to specify all the detail of the creative financing terms. Okay, how much of the interest rate, how long is the loan, how long is the how, how long is the terms of the loan, is there any prepayment penalty, who is the servicing company, they have all the detail about that. Okay, if it is illegal, the association of realtor wouldn't create that such addendum. Okay. The second question that I may have is, I still have mortgage. Can I do that? And the answer is yes, right? Basically, in the situation that you have, especially in the situation that you have a lower interest rate mortgage than the open market mortgage. There's a lot of people interested in those property. Not saying that if you have a high interest rate, higher interest rate than the current mortgage, that you cannot do that. But it's going to be more challenging to attract those people, right? So, that could be an option for those who still have the current mortgage right now. Okay. So if it is legal, if it is a very good strategy, why I haven't heard about that, okay? In fact, this strategy has been a very popular one in commercial real estate, okay? For residential real estate, is not very common until just now because of the high interest rate right now. Therefore, a lot of people are seeking for an options to buy at a lower interest rate, and therefore that's why creative financing it become very more and more popular in today's market. So that's the reason why. With that, let's move on to the next strategy because I think we're running out of time. Strategy number 4A, 4A and 4B, because I want to separate. They're still under the same category. If we want to call it one name, is selling to investor. Okay, but I want to do 4A iBuyer because they are actually a bigger company. They are backed by Wall Street, and they have a lot of money inside the company. So the basic idea is they go buy houses by cash. Okay. And they normally charge a cost maybe from 2 to 6%, depend on the company. There's a couple company, for example, Open Door, Redfin, I forget the name. I totally get it. I have it in my head, but I totally forget about what name. Um, uh, Open Door, Redfin, AlphaPad. Sorry, yes, AlphaPad and Zillow. Zillow used to have it as well, but now they already gone. On top of those big three company, international company, there's some smaller local company as well. Easy Street Offer is also one of the very good one in Arizona if you're looking into this option. Okay, but of course, as you see here, there is always a cost associated with using this company, right? The benefit of using them is it's really easy, quick, fast cash sale to your house, okay? But of course, they're gonna charge a fee so that they can make money, right? There's nothing for free. You get the fast, the convenient. You then have to pay for the fee, okay? Do you need an agent to represent you when you buy through iBuyer? If you are an experienced home seller, then absolutely not. You don't have to, okay? In fact, each company also have a representative to help you out with the process as well, okay? But if you are new to selling, or if you don't know a lot of options about the iBuyer, because each company gonna have their own process, okay? Open Door has their own process, AlphaPad has their own process, Easy Street Offer has their own process, and if you don't have an experience, okay, and you may ask, should I just like talk to one offer, right? The answer is no, because all the company gonna have a different process and they're gonna have a different estimate of the property value, and therefore their purchase price is going to be different. So you absolutely have to talk to multiple you have to talk to multiple people, so that you can multiple company, so that you can create a better competitive environment. Okay, so definitely you have they are not, since the offer are not equal, the process are not the same, you should talk to multiple company. And for that reason, answer for this question is yes, you do need an agent if you don't have experience, if you are not familiar with the process, and if you are not, a lot of people thinking that they are not willing to negotiate. That's not right. Everyone, like I said earlier in the webinar, everything in real estate is negotiable. Okay, as long as we have the number that you want, put that in mind, and then if you are not familiar with the negotiation process, you can definitely rely on the help of an experienced agent with the iBuyer. Okay, but don't take all the agent, because sometimes the agent are not even familiar with the iBuyer process. So if you are looking to working with an agent, make sure that they are familiar with the iBuyer process as well. All right. Last but not least, let's go to wholesaler. Okay, so before I talk into this strategy, I just want to emphasize that this strategy is definitely not for everyone. Okay, especially for those of you who are in need for as high money profit as possible. Okay, this only applicable for those who need a very, very quick cash. You know why? Because the wholesaler is basically what are they gonna how are they gonna profit, right? They are going to buy the house at a 70 to 85% less than the market value, and then they can flip it, they can sell it to another investor and at a higher price and make the profit from that. Okay, so if you choose to go this route because of the convenience, because of the speed to sell, you have to sacrifice the profit at the end. Okay, and for that reason, yeah. So that is the reason why I cautious you in terms of using this. Okay, it's not, it's not for everyone, and therefore you have to be careful, evaluate your situation to make sure that this is the good strategy for you. Okay. Um, what is okay? So there's a lot options, right? We're talking about active marketing. We're talking about a buy before you sell. We're talking about seller financing. We're talking about iBuyer. We're talking about wholesaler investor. So which one is the best strategy for you? Okay. At the high level, okay, how to appropriate the and select the best approach to sell your house, right? At the high level, here's what I can tell you, okay? Depend on the proceed that you want, depend on the distress level that you have. Some people may be in the foreclosure situation, some people, some family in the divorce, or maybe there's a past of the family member, they be more in the distress level situation, right? If there's nothing in the distress situation right now, okay, and then if you want the highest net proceed, the traditional active marketing method may be the better choice for you. Okay, a little bit stressed, right? You have to buy and sell at the same time, all right? Um, then I think this one is incorrect because it put it below for the net proceed, but I don't think it is the case, right? In some situation, in fact, when you do the, oh wait, I think it's right because there's going to be more cost for you. But in general, all right, if you buy and sell at the same time, you might have a less proceed, right? So if you have a little bit stress here because of the relocation situation, then you're willing to pay for the fee, then you can do that to take on the advantage, okay? And creative financing. If you have no more circumstances and if you have no intention to receive the monthly payment to potentially getting a higher profit, then you don't have to do the creative financing. But if you do in rush situation, creative financing option is the better chance for you. And of course, last but not least, cash investor. If those of you who want to sell very quickly, you have to be willing to accept the lower net proceed. Okay. So there's some advice if you want to select the best strategy for you. Okay, you have to remember not all the strategy gonna fit to your need. Okay, and you have to evaluate your distress situation to see whether it is actually a distress situation or not, or you still have time. Right? Especially for those of you who are not experienced with the selling process, you have to have some expert opinion and then see whether you are in the situation that you have to sell right away or not. Okay. And then based on that information, you can prioritize whether you want to maximize maximum return or the fastest sales and shortest time on the market as much as possible. Okay. An experienced agent gonna be able to help you allocate those, answer those concerns and those questions as well. They're gonna be able to help you, especially for those who understand all the 4 strategy. They are able to understand and work those 4 strategy. They can answer all the questions that you may have. They can look at the situation that you have and recommend the best approach. Okay, the best approach. I'm not saying all the time traditional method, not all the time it is benefit. It's good for the consumer, right? So they can look at your situation individually and then give you the well-informed, give you the good information so that you can make the well-informed decision. That is how it should work. Okay, it's a collaboration work between the agents and the seller, because the seller, potential seller, they may not know all the strategy and all the situation happening in the 4 strategy, right? But they do know about their need, their certain situation, right? That's the expertise from the agent gonna make that the very good couple to work together so that the seller gonna be happy at the end of the day. All right, that is it, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for going through the 45 minutes meeting with me today. Overall, I think we already talked about some of the options regarding to the new commission structure and the old commission structure. How is that impacting the seller in today's market? We're also talking about 4 different strategies: the active marketing, the buy before you sell, the creative financing option, as well as the sell to the investor option. Okay, so if you do have any question about all the material that we have today, feel free to DM me and I will be more than happy to answer all the questions that you might have. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next video.
Welcome to the vibrant city of Chandler, Arizona, a place where investment opportunities are as abundant as the sunshine.
Hello, I am downplay, your go-to realtor here in the heart of Chandler. I specialize in helping new investors to acquiring exceptional investment properties here in this dynamic city.
With a deep understanding of the local market and a passion for real estate, Long is dedicated to finding the perfect investment for every client.
Whether you are investing in single-family home or multi-family units,
I'm here to provide you with a personalized service that aligns with your investment goals.
Benefit from Long's expertise in market trends, property valuation, and investment strategies, ensuring your journey into real estate investment is both profitable and enjoyable.
Chandler is not just a place to invest in, but it is also a community to be a part of. From its welcoming neighborhood to its thriving business landscape, there's no better place to start your investment journey.
So, let's embark on this exciting journey together. I am Long Lei, your local real estate expert in Chandler and Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm here to make your dream a success reality.